Patrick here, 8 questions with. Welcome to the show. Wow, I'm already on the air for 10 seconds, and I think our guest is here. So I'm going to go get him right now, and then we'll just make some chit chat while you guys show up. Here we go. All right, that's what we're hearing. What's going on, Dave? As we're live here on the show, Dave was entertaining us with a few notes of his guitar. Welcome to the show. As you can't see him right now, but we are talking to our friend Dave, also known as Genome Presents. He has a fantastic YouTube channel and features a really cool hangout live stream on Fridays. Hey Jennifer, loved it. I watched it yesterday. I watched your wow, there he is, the master of Dollar Tree Gourmet.
Yeah.
The good news is that we're live because I never like to keep anybody in the basement.
Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't realize we were going live this early.
No, that's all right. No, that was weird. My phone was all of a sudden the picture went away. All right. Yeah, that was weird. Okay. Things go bumping tonight. So welcome, man. I've been looking forward to this since I asked you to do it. Because I enjoy your Friday Night Hangouts quite a bit, and it's a lot of fun. And today I found out today is Star Wars Day, which is really even cooler because you are a big.
That's what they tell me.
Are you more of a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek or one and the same?
Honestly speaking, most of my fandom of Star Wars is just nostalgic, really, because I grew up when the movies were released in the theaters, and waiting in the lines for the movies was actually a big event in the little town I grew up in. So I like the original trilogy. I don't really like anything after that as far as those go. So I'd say I'm more of a Trek guy than I am a Star Wars guy. If you go with that, there's a lot more deeper meanings in Trek, and they do a lot more exploration. So I kind of dig on Trek a little more, I'd say.
All right. Matthew's here. Welcome. Anthony's here. Jaden's here. I'm glad you guys have come on in. Yeah, I was because it's always entertaining to go over to your live stream, and then you'll be sitting there looking for well, what should we talk about? And then somebody will sit there and say, let's talk about the Star Wars babes or the Star Trek babes. And next thing you know, for an hour here we are talking about all the hot girls on those shows.
It invariably gets that way when you get into nerd culture stuff, man. We kind of default to our original settings. So
I think they do that just to watch you go like, all right, I'm about that.
They watch me squirm because I know I don't talk about that sort of thing on my channel, and I think they just enjoy watching me squirm. So.
Real quick, I only have one preset question I ever ask everybody.
Sure.
And that is, then we'll get just getting cracking. Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in a little town called Sebring, Florida. Quiet little burg of mostly retirees, and grew up way out in the country. It's a central Florida town, kind of Orange Grove country, and like I said, retirement paradise. We had 2 supermarkets. One was on the other side of town, one movie theater with one screen, and one barber shop, that kind of town. And so I spent my formative years there, but I lived about 30 years in Orlando. That's where I did most of my growing up, was actually in the Orlando area from about age 12 on till about 35 or so. So yeah, I'm a Florida native, one of the 5%. So
what is that? Oh, wow, it's weird. My phone is acting goofy on me here. It's the picture is fading out. Can you see me all right?
Yeah, I can see you just fine. So
all right, so you lived in Florida, so obviously for all those years. So I mean, your formative years, you have a lot of interest. I mean, you served in the military. I think you mentioned that before on your stream. You served in the Navy. What did you? and you have a great deal of love for comic books, movies, and whatnot. So how did you end up getting to the Navy growing up? Were you did all your love for science fiction and fantasy, did that come afterwards after you got out of the Navy or beforehand?
Well, I was actually Army, but
Oh, Army, I'm sorry.
that's okay. No, I actually joined the Army much later in life, about age 30. I was grandpa, but no, my geekdom started pretty early on. I'll tell a little story here. I don't know how many people got in the stream or not, but for those of you who are into geek culture and stuff now, it's a whole different ball game than it used to be back in like the 80s and 90s when we hit it at all cost. My love for comics started in like the mid to late 80s and kind of carried on through about the mid 90s, and then I went through my industrial music phase, and I kind of phased everything out that had to do with like geekness. But yeah, so it started pretty young, mostly with comics and sports cards. Comics was kind of my first love, and then it would go back and forth. Whatever I could spend the most money on at the time was kind of what I was into. But I never did the role playing games, none of that. Most of the towns I were in were too small for anything like that anyway. And but really just comic books were my kind of first love, and it still remains to this day. I really don't purchase them much anymore. I have too many other expensive hobbies to worry about. But yeah, I do love me some comics, and you know what? I'll get this out of the way, because I know a lot of people always ask is, I don't like the MCU. I don't like the DCU. I don't really care for comics movies that much, because I'm an old school guy, right? I know the storylines, and I don't like the way they change them. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
it's unrecognizable. Like, let's just take, for instance, I know we're veering off into other stuff here, like Infinity War saga. It's like it has zero to do with the actual book. So that's where I take umbrage with some of the newer movies. So I really don't enjoy them that much, which is funny, because you would think like all those years of being repressed, repressed geek or whatever, I would like be jubilant at the idea of having all these movies to watch. But I'd rather go back and watch Masters of the Universe from '87, the live action Dolph Lundgren movie, than I would some of the newer stuff, just because it had heart and it stayed a little more true to the source material, that was kind of a weird one.
Yeah, I'm so with you about that. I mean, to me, it's all about the source material. That's the reason why I mean, I watch them, and there's some of them I do like. I mean, I do like some of them, but there's some that I just absolutely hate. I'm not a big fan. The one thing, the one series that I really do like is I do like the DC animated universe.
Yeah, those
That's
are
probably
great
my,
movies
that's my
too.
yeah. I think those are probably my favorite.
They have the best art style, the best action sequences, and really the best art, or the best storylines too. And they don't really change when they're going off source material. They don't change them that much for the audience who they don't think can pay attention more than 30 seconds at a time. So it is
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, it's a little frustrating. And growing up as a fan, it's almost like watching a band cover another band. You watch it and it's like, okay, I understand. I don't want you to play note for note, but I want you to at least keep it within somewhat of within a respectable range. I don't want you to take it and break it down to some sort of something different than what it was. I just think that you don't really see bands do that. A lot of times they do a cover that's pretty faithful to it. And to me, it's like, that's what they should be doing with the comic book movies. It's like, listen, I understand you want to have a little bit of wiggle room in it. I understand the origin films are the hardest ones to film,
Yeah.
because you have to appeal to the audience. You have to appeal to new people who never heard of a Quicksilver or a Scarlet Witch. So you have to do it. You have to introduce them a certain way. But I think they've gone to the extreme as well. Um, and I don't like that. Like the Captain Marvel. That was the one that really probably got me the most. It's like they took a main character, a villain force, villains, and they made them to immigrants. And it's just like, really, that's about as subtle as a brick across the head.
Well,
It
Hollywood's
wasn't very
lost the
well.
subtlety ages ago.
Yeah, there's no
But
subtlety at all. It's just like, really, this is what you're going to try to throw down us? Yeah. Uh, what about the Transformer movies? Hey, Steven, how are you?
those are just rough, man. Once again, I'll say this. I mean, I guess they're fun for summer popcorn flicks, and if you want to turn your mind off a little bit. It's funny that he mentions Transformers. I actually did an interview with the creator of just about every Transformer story there is, That's Bob Budiansky on my channel. I did that about 2 years ago, and he's worked for Marvel Comics for a long time, and he was an editor over there. And actually, the people from Hasbro uh, had like 3 or 4 backgrounds and characters kind of just barely sketched out, but nothing else for any of the toys. So they actually contracted Marvel to write up their histories. So it was really back in the early 80s when Bob got a hold of that and started writing the backgrounds for all those characters. But yeah, I hope we didn't lose Patrick too much. I guess I'm running solo here. So but yeah, he said something was going on with his phone. But as far as the actual movies, I don't really care for them. I think I've seen 2 of them, none of them in the theater, like something you catch on DVD from Goodwill or something, you know. Just I don't know. See, I'm not a big fan of huge explosions and all that, so that doesn't really get my juices flowing. So there's not a whole lot to offer. They look pretty incredible. I got to admit, I can only imagine how long it takes to render some of those scenes. In fact, I think I remember reading somewhere, like in the very first movie, they had like 8 or 9 servers just grinding for almost 2 straight years rendering stuff. So I can appreciate the work that goes into the CG side of it, but as far as movies itself, not that great. And they didn't bring back Frank Welker. What's wrong with them? So if you don't bring back Frank Welker, you can just kiss my money goodbye.
Yeah, but you got to have Frank Welker. You got to have Peter Cullen.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 main forces for those movies. And yeah, you're right. I mean, as long as they can still talk, as long as they're as long as they still can bring the same voice to the party, then you're right. They should be doing it every time.
And
And I don't.
they kind of they just kind of they ruin Optimus. I mean, really, I know they're trying to write it for a little more of an adult crowd. I mean, it's a story about gigantic transforming aliens. I mean, come on, how realistic you want to be? But they turn into a homicidal maniac. They got him saying things he would never say and doing things he would never do, and it's just hard to watch that, you know. But if you want to see some good fun, there's an interview or like a Comic-Con or something that Peter and Frank are both at, and one of the crowd asked them to do the other voice. So they had Peter do Megatron and Frank do Optimus, and that's hilarious, man. That was pretty good. So look that up if you've never seen it before.
I'm going to try to do something here. I never tried to do before, so stick with me.
Sure.
But my phone keeps on fading out, so I'm going to try to restart it. I'm going to see if that will fix it a little bit, because otherwise it's just going a little bit wacky. So I've never seen this. I've never hit anything like it's like it fades off. That's
Have
weird.
that effect on equipment. So
I don't know. It's cursed, right? So so everybody in the chat, just stay right where you guys are at. I'll be right back. I'm not gonna end it, so I'm gonna disappear, but I won't end it. And I'll see if that will fix my phone.
see if I can keep entertained. I don't know if it'll keep me on or not. So let's see. I'm gonna pull up the stream too, so I can see if there's any new chat, because sometimes StreamYard is a little bit slow on chat. Okay, so I think they didn't have enough money for Frank Welker's Megatron. Was he charging too much? I can't imagine. They could have saved some money on some of their A-list stars and bought the real voice actors, right? And you know what? I'll tell you what. That's another. If you want to get off on another tangent, I think it's another thing that's really bad. Is oh, someone saying hi to Dave. Well, good to see you, Facebook user. Yeah, that's my actual name. Is the fact that how many like voice actors are losing work because they're just putting regular Hollywood actors, behind in the voice box or the voice booth. And then you got guys, I mean, of course, the Cullens and the Welkers will always get work, but the ones that are a tier below that are probably could use a lot of those roles. But so I don't know. But anyway, I wish they kept the Jazz character alive, as he's honestly a fan favorite. I mean, they loved him in the 80s, and he got kind of done a disservice, I guess, in the first movie. But they bring everybody else back. Why don't they just bring him back? I think they have. Let's see. Well, they possibly doing Scourge, the Dark Optimus Prime. See, that might be a storyline. I haven't really followed the Transformers since like the 80s that much. So if it's a newer one, I don't know about that one, the Scourge. But let's see what else we got here. Let me make sure the chat's caught up. And I'm assuming I'm going live still. Let's see. Sound like the sound is coming through. Well, fire off your questions until Patrick returns. I've taken over his channel apparently, and even though most of you guys probably don't know me, I googled it. He was in cast due to project conflicts, and I think Michael Bay was pushing. Was he pushing to get him in there? It's interesting. I mean, it's hard. Not that I'm saying the guy who voiced Megatron was bad. Actually, I think it kind of fit the character maybe a little better than the raspy voice. But maybe Frank could have changed it up, but just keep it as Frank. It's just one of those things, And it makes you wonder too, like if Peter had decided not to do it, would they have done it? And I mean, Frank, you can almost give or take a little bit because he can change up so much, but like there's only one voice for Optimus, right? Looney Tunes didn't go too far when Mel Blanc wasn't around. So, oh, okay, Cos. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Let's see, because I'm only seeing your chat, Cos, in StreamYard's chat over here. So sorry about that. Anyway.
We'll see if this works. All right. So that was fun. That's always fun to find out something new, right?
I tell you, man, when I did interviews, I had the worst luck. Okay, so I interviewed Tom McLaughlin, director of Friday 13th Part 6. I did that about
Right.
3 years ago or something like that. And for whatever reason, my camera defaulted to like the microphone from the webcam, which sounds terrible compared to my Yeti right here. I had interviewed Deborah Voorhees. Same thing happened. And I was having technical difficulties like crazy with a lot of these interviews. And it's just like, it worked fine. 10 minutes for the interview. I don't know what's going on. It's
no doubt. That's exactly what happened. I'm sitting here like it's still doing it, and I have no idea what's going on. It's like it's almost like it's trying to save itself.
save yourself.
I have no idea. It's the weirdest damn thing. It's fine, and then it wants to like fade off. And then I lose the screen. This is well, we're gonna have to I'll just try to keep going as long as we can here. I'm sure it's something I hit somewhere down the line that I need to go back and hit the reset. But anyway, yeah, you did interviews. You mentioned that many times before. How many people did you interview, and why did you stop that?
Total interviews, probably not a ton, maybe 10, 12, something like that. Mostly because it just seemed to dry up. I kind of stopped interviewing around COVID, and that's when I thought I would get more and more hits, but people kind of quit answering. I get a lot of maybes, and I can't quite make it, or some people were afraid of it, like they had to do something technical. I was like, look, all you need is a webcam, and I'll send you a link. Just click the link, and I'll take care of the rest. But it kind of dried up, and I got tired of chasing it. I didn't have the luck that you do because it wasn't working out too well. But I enjoy doing them. Reached out to people since, but that's kind of taking a back seat to other stuff. They do take a lot of times to set up and to do well, because I tend to script mine, so I get a long thing of questions out there and kind of back and forth with them a lot. So I don't know. Is what
I
it
hope
is.
to get back into it though. I would like to see. I would like to see you get after it a little bit, because I think you have a really good persona for it, and you seem to have a real joy for it. Every time I come inside the hangout, and this is the other thing that's really impressed me. And I think a lot of people here might be really surprised about this, because they don't really necessarily see you out and about. Like most of the time you are on your channel. It's very rare that we see you. But the thing about it is, though, we don't see you necessarily, but you are everywhere. I go inside the hangout, and then you'll start talking about an interview that I did, and I've known that you watched it all the way through, because you asking questions that were asked deep into the interview. Not just the first 10 minutes, but like an hour into the interview, you'll come back. Yeah, I saw how you asked that, and I'm just like, wow, he watched the whole damn thing. How many channels do you truly follow like that? You must follow you must have a lot of channels you really like.
I have about maybe 20 channels that I watch regular, and people I consider YouTube, friends and all that. And I don't get to watch them nearly as much as I would like to, because I'm just such a busy guy. But probably about 20, believe it or not. It's not a huge number. And honestly, there's a lot of channels that people I like, whatever, but I don't like get in their live streams and talk about their videos much, because I feel if I didn't actually watch the video, I don't want to say, oh, great video. I don't like that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I'll try to chime in with something pertinent that they released, and it's just there's only so many hours in the day, and I wish I could watch more sometimes, but it doesn't line up that way. I only have about I'd say less than an hour and a half every day of YouTube time, free time, and you can only watch so many videos, unfortunately. But there's so many channels that have supported me over the years, and I really want to give back and watch their content and comment on their content and help promote it, But
yeah, because it's Stephen Chang. He's a publicist, And if you want guests, you want to, just if you want to get into that, I would suggest you to suggest meeting him. He can bring you a whole slew of guests. He's
That'd be
doing
fun.
this,
You should watch
yeah.
the latest one. Did you watch the latest one I did with Peter Anthony? That's a fun one.
How long ago did you do it?
Just a couple months.
Okay.
He did the two fan films, Return to Camp Blood and Roseblood. He did those.
Okay.
They're both Friday 13th fan films, and they're actually really good and nice big budget productions. Fascinating because you get a real peek behind the curtain. Because I interviewed him and Vicente DeSanti too, who did Never Hike in the Snow, Never Hike Alone, and those great fan films too. So you get a real peek behind the curtain, and you get to learn how much money you actually lose making these fan
Oh
films,
my
right?
gosh, yeah, it's insane. I think I saw Peter on Doomsday's Crypt show, and he was talking about that. That's yeah, it's a labor of love for sure. If you're doing a fan film, that's all you're doing it for. You're doing it for love. And I really don't think that I think the studios need to wake up. And the way I look at it is, I know they're making strides a little bit. Before you couldn't even do a fan film because you would get a cease and desist.
Yep.
But once you show that, especially if you got some of the actors in from the old show, then they seem to be okay. They take it a little bit more seriously, but you still can't make any money back. And to me, I always felt like, well, here's how the studio should do it. Go up there and ask for maybe like the first, and studios be reasonable, right? So let's say the fan film is $40,000. Okay, here's what you do. The studio, you take your first 10,000, right? And then after that, then make it like 70-30. Let the filmmaker make 70% and the studio is 30. Let them recoup their money, plus maybe make.
Yeah, you give an option on royalties and that sort of thing. You got muted there. I'm not sure what's going
Oh,
on.
okay.
There you go.
And then turn around and let them come back and do another split, 70-30, then come back and give the studio another a few thousand. At least let the filmmaker have a fighting chance to make even. I just feel like the studio, it's like I love the fact that you're making a fan film, but man, I just question the cost of it. It's like I made it, okay, but I think you should also make money off of it.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I don't
know?
know. I mean, it feels like okay. I can understand with like the Disney's and say you got the Star Wars franchise. Yes, you don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry making a Star Wars fan film because those studios don't need a couple thousand here and there from these fan films that the YouTube profits would generate. But for these older franchises who aren't doing anything, you think they'd be all over that in kind of a franchising kind of method, like McDonald's or whatever like that, just license out the name Friday 13th, and you can even make them submit your movie to them to make sure it meets whatever criteria they're looking for, like you don't make Jason look like an idiot or Michael Myers look like, a talking ventriloquist or something, you know what I mean? So
Right.
they can do quality control things. Okay, this meets our standards, release it. We take 30% or half of the profits of this and any merchandise, and then that's just money that came out of thin air for them. And someone's doing the work, and I don't know. It just
Yeah, that's the thing, that they're doing the work. They're making the film, they're publicizing it, they're pushing it out there. All you do is sit back there and collect a little bit of, collect the money you're going to get. You're not doing anything for it.
yeah.
And to me, it's like if you're a studio, I think you should do a festival. Do a 2-day festival, and then have the best of the best come out there and show their films. And then every Halloween there for a while, they used to have the 8 films to die for. So you make 8 films, you bring them to the festival, and then you show those 8 films. And then these are the movies that we really like this year. Just the ones we're going to be supporting and pushing. And you do that, and you release them. And you put your money behind it, like, okay, we're going to distribute this one. It may not be canon per se, but at least it's worthy enough to get a theatrical release. And not only that, but you know what? You might discover yourself of some talent there, some directing talent, some actors, some acting talent, and you're doing it, and you're reaping all that for free. It's pure profit. It's pure profit. And but I guess it's because since it's
Doesn't make
not like
any
$1
sense to me.
million, I guess
Yeah,
since it's not $1 million, they feel like it's not worth it.
part
I
of the
don't know.
problem too is like any legacy entertainment is so archaic now, and they're holding on to this last gasp of, well, it's not a good movie if they don't come out of Hollywood. There's not a huge soundstage. You can do half of what they did now on a PC, a regular PC, with green screening and all the other technology we have out there, and it's got them scared to death because fan films are starting to catch up with Hollywood
Yeah.
productions. In a few more years when it's even more accessible and user friendly, that's the wave of the future, and they know it. And so I think they're just holding on like grim old death to hold on as long as they can and milk what little they can. But once again, they're not making any money on it. So
The digital camera changed everything. It was everything. I mean, we're listening to Robert Rodriguez, and he was sitting there going like, once he found out that there was digital cameras, he was like, holy shit, it's like it's a whole new day. It costs it, that's why when I see these movies, they're sitting there saying, yeah, this movie cost $200 million to make. And we're like, what maybe the effects, maybe you can see some money going that way, but as far as actually filming a movie, oh no, it's not costing you that much to film it. It's so much cheaper now to film a movie than it was back in the 70s and the 80s. Oh my God! I mean, if you
you have to
spent
do it all practically
$200 million in
back
the
then.
yeah, if you were doing a $200 million film back in 1970, it was costing you $200 million. Now, I mean, short of the CGI, which is probably like you said, if you have studios that are working on a movie 24/7, I can see the coin going up for that. But $200 million for a film these days, I think they're just trying to impress the crowd. I think they're trying to impress the moviegoer.
Yeah,
Like,
I
look,
mean,
we
you get
spent
like
$200 million.
exactly. So it has to be good. There's something trips in your mind is like, oh, this is going to be a quality production, or I have to go see it because it's going to be amazing because they dropped that much money into it. Well, heck, they dropped 10 million into Waterworld, and look what we got. So it's no indicator. Not that I am actually kind of a fan of that movie. Not so much of Kevin Costner, but I do kind of like that movie. But it was one of the last great practical effects movies. And here's the other issue too, and a lot of people don't realize this. Necessity is the mother of invention. And you take a lot of very classic, or you and I are big fans of older horror films, right? You take a lot of very classic horror films. They had no budget, shoestring budgets, $1 million at best, right? They had to make
Right.
it work. And you get inventive when that happens. And you got to lean more on your actors and your directing. I don't know. It's just, you lose something. The more money you put in something doesn't necessarily raise the quality quotient.
No,
So,
no. And you're sitting there, and you go back and you look at the scenes of the Star Wars or the Marvel movies, which you don't get a lot. If you really think about it, you really don't get a lot of behind the scene pictures. Like, man, some movies will come out, and I mean, like the Scream movies or Halloween. I mean, they come out with a ton of pictures from behind the scenes. Movies with practical effects will do that. Movies that don't have practical effects won't do that. So we don't get to see the back of a Marvel movie very much, because otherwise all we'd be seeing is just Chris Evans talking to a tennis ball against a green screen,
yeah.
and nobody wants to see that.
No. I know
Let's see.
Ian McKellen said that drove him crazy, but it's all
Yes,
right.
yeah, he
Yeah.
said he hated that. Hi, Buff Files. How are you? How are you? Um, what was the first movie that you remember seeing that made an impression on you?
American Werewolf in London. And it scared me so bad I had to leave the theater. I was probably 5. I don't know what my mother was thinking taking me to that. I remember last thing I remember in that movie was the scene where he's running naked through the woods and he winds up like eating the deer. And
Right.
I freaked, man. My mom had to drag me out of the theater, and I think she called her sister to come get me and take me home. That's my first like movie going experience that I actually really made a real impression on me. It just scared the bejesus out of me. But yeah, that one.
Did you ever watch it afterwards?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Actually, it's a Landis film, and it's once again there's a movie where they didn't have a sky high budget. They had no name actors other than maybe Jenny Agutter, but look what they did. They made it one of the best horror comedy ever made. They made one of the best special effects movies ever made, and I loved the movie. But yeah, it scarred me as a little kid, and it freaked me out. Another one was Jaws 3. and I hated going swimming for a little after that one,
Oh,
but
God, dude, that was fun.
yeah, no. If you look back at it now, it's so popcorn. It's like, how could you be scared at that? Dennis Quaid, smiling the whole way through. But yeah, that was another one. But Empire Strikes Back was probably the most positive one I had, because I remember waiting in line. Like, I think we waited through 3 showings before we finally got in the door. And
For Star
so
Wars.
yeah, that was an event. Like I said, we had one screen, one theater, probably held 50 people in our hometown or whatever. So the line wrapped just like around the building, and when like ET and the Star Wars came around. So those are probably the movies. Definitely American Wolf of London is my first life-changing experience, I guess you could say, and as far as movies go.
Oh, that's cool. I remember standing out there for Star Wars too. I think we had more than one screen. I think there was 3 at the Montclair Theater, but I was there for like, yeah, same thing for trying to think of the other movie I had to stand in line for. I want to say it was like a Star Trek movie, and I had to stay out there in long ass lines like through a showing. And I think it might have even been Star Trek 3, because everyone to see how Spock was going to come back.
Yep.
Uh, uh, yeah,
Yeah, they don't realize what it's like, and it wasn't like events where people were dressing up and all that, I mean, like it is nowadays, But it's just people waited patiently in line, and no one was talking on the way out, because back then you didn't want to do spoilers. So,
oh no, I missed the midnight shows. Remember, you go Friday night, and you get there, and it would start at midnight. They literally were a midnight show. I miss those so much. Now they don't do that. Now they do Thursdays at 7 p.m. for the early release. That's the midnight show. Hey Charles, how are you? Charles said he stood in the line for Demons. Hey Kaz, Aiden's in here in the house as well. This is fun. Thank you guys so much for coming out for tonight. Yeah, Rocky Horror, yes. My midnight movies, yes. I saw all 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies on the midnight showing.
I was pretty bad. See, as I get older, I like crowds less and less. So I just tend to wait a few weeks after a movie would come out, then I would go watch them or I would go watch them in the daytime when no was in there.
Yeah, I used to do that too. I used to go to AMC 20 here, and I used to go during the daytime. I used to go, it's either daytime, or when I was in San Jose, it would be the last one, the last showing of the night, because a lot of times, during the week, nobody would be there because everybody would be working. So I could be able to walk inside the theater and be there with like 4 or 5 other people. And the same thing for daylight. You go there. I've told the story before how I went to one show. I went to see a movie called Spartan, and I went to the AMC 20. I got snacks, and then the parking lot looked very empty. I went inside. I could hear the empty. You could tell when there's an empty theater, because the sound is just, you could just tell there's nothing in there, absorbing the sound. So it's empty. There's nobody there but the staff. I walk over there, open the door for Spartan. That's where everybody was. Everybody. That place was packed. It was sold out. There was only 5 or 6 seats. So I had to go to the front. I had to go to the front seat, and then I had to wait till the movie started before I could eat my snack.
I'll tell you one thing I do miss from my youth, in my teen years when I was living in Orlando, was the dollar theaters, man. They don't got those anymore. And we had several in Orlando. And so it was very economical for someone with my social strata to go watch a movie, and so we went all the time. I was at the movies every weekend, because it cost you $1, so those aren't around no more. I mean, I could wait a couple months to go see the movie. It was no big deal for me, but
we are being rated here. Brene says that Life with Lucretia is doing a raid. So thank you to everybody who's coming in. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that sub button, and let you know what we're doing soon. We're talking to a fellow YouTuber, Dave, also known as Genome Presents, and also go down to his channel as well. Man, this is just driving me crazy about this damn phone. It's just like I'm just like, I've never seen it before. It's like I'm talking, and it's like trying to save battery. It's what it's trying to do. It's trying to conserve a battery. It's like, I don't know why you do that. I have it plugged in. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much for coming in, Catherine. I'm gonna have to go say hi to Lucretia. I want to say it's the same name on the. I want to say it's the name of the lady from Sisters of Mercy, the lead singer. Um, yeah, but thank you for coming in. Um, speaking of music, you are a, fantastic musician as well. You play guitar. What other instruments do you play other than guitar?
Just bass and guitar. I used to play clarinet when I was younger, but nothing else really. I'm just a closet amateur, you know. I never go out and play gigs. I used to sing when I was younger, with a couple bands on and off, you know, just kind of nothing serious. I didn't want to do covers. I wanted to do originals, so there wasn't a whole lot of takers there. But I get up and do some Doors songs with some people back when I was really into them, and so yeah, I just like to play around with little music in the spare time. But I'm friends with a couple bands in the local area, but that's something else that's kind of dying out is the live music thing. So I
This is crazy.
they got you froze up again.
Yeah, I'm back. Oh no, I did. Oh shit.
Nice to meet you too, Key.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm back. I'm back. I have no idea what's going on. This is like I'm just. I'm sort of glad. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, I can fix this before the next one. The next one. It's just curious because I've never seen it happen like this before. And of course, if everyone gives me some ideas and tips on how to fix it, I'm down for that too. It's like I'm talking like it is, and then it'll suddenly just go dark. Like I
Hmm.
said, it's trying to conserve energy, and it's like I have no idea. So I might have to make a run down to the next store tomorrow to find out what's going on with my poor phone. So yeah, so what bands did you grow up listening to? I mean, were you mostly a rock guy or folk rock, country,
Uh, well, it's funny
pop?
because I was about the only like grade schooler who could sing Neil Diamond and Kenny Rogers songs to people, right? Because I grew up with my grandparents for several years, and so I listened to what grandma listened to, you know. So it was a lot of Neil Diamond and things like that. And then as I got older, you know, I was in with my mom more, and she was more like 70s, you know, softer rock and maybe a little harder rock, but mostly softer rock. So we're talking like Bread, America, that sort of thing. Seals and Crofts, tons of that growing up. So I still love it. You know, I don't know how much of that is just because I remember it fondly, but I realize what talented musicians these guys are. So believe it or not, that's the music I find myself going back to more and more is more like the 70s and late 60s and all the 70s. I love the 70s. So that, you know, I just go through phases through my whole life. You know, I went through my harder phase where it was just metal basically and alternative, I guess, all the way through basically high school. And then I got out of that and I got kind of psychedelic for a while. I was a huge Doors guy for about 5 years. And then I went hardcore into industrial and I stayed in industrial electro EBM for about 10 years. And then I got into the Beatles and it was all over from there. So it's kind of all over the place. It's like it's full circle, you know. You go from older music, great instrumentals, and then you get a little more synth in the 80s and a little bit in the 90s. And then I'm all the way into straight synth and straight computer music, and then they're all the way back around to the beginning to just great instrumentalists. So
Looks like you have a lot of fans in here about that too. They're mentioning Stephen Sheets is actually a country singer. He does George Jones and Hank Williams Jr. Yes, the
I'm a
cheetah
big
is a
George Jones
cutie
guy.
patootie. He is a cutie patootie, definitely. Uh, and yeah, don't think we're not going to cover that, Mister. We're going to go visit that. We had to.
Well, fun fact is
Um,
I don't listen to any country after 1983. By the way, yeah.
Yeah, I like roots rock. I like roots rock, Americana, rockabilly. I'm psychobilly. I'm into that. So you're not into social distortion?
No, I'm lame and easygoing nowadays. I just
Wow, I'm
I don't listen. I don't
surprised.
listen to the radio really, so I just listen to
Yeah,
older music. And
oh my gosh, neither do I.
yeah,
From a guy who worked with bands for most of his career, when I got here to Michigan, I did not. I pretty much stopped listening to commercial radio. The only radio I listen to now is talk radio, and I listen to sports radio. That's the only thing I listen to. I don't listen to anything else than that. So if you get in my car, you'll hear sports talk, and that's it. I don't listen to commercial radio. I mean, like a lot of these singers that I hear, I didn't know who they were until I started looking up YouTube videos. and because they'll sit there and say, well, have you heard of have you heard of Lord? No, who's that? And it's like, oh, here you go. And then I got to go and go on the tube and find and type in their name and go like, oh, I never heard of this person. Who's Lana Del Rey? Oh, it's like, okay, never heard of that one.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know any. Most of the some of the bands I still work with, they're still out there touring. They're still out there. Some of them have crashed and burned. Like Steve Harwell from Smash Mouth. That guy just
I haven't heard about him in a long time.
He just gave up the ghost. He just went, well, he has a lot of issues. He had a lot of issues. And I guess, but they're still out there with a different singer out there touring. I mean, you see a lot of that. You see a lot of bands out there that are still kicking it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know who a lot of these bands are. I had to catch up on who Taylor Swift was. I was like, who's Taylor Swift? Okay, oh, she's cute. Yeah. Talk about Royals, yeah.
And I was never into really pop, so that really wasn't my thing. So
I listen because I grew up. I'm not grew up, but I mean, I worked in the live music business for 10 years, so I hear bands. It's cool when I hear it on the radio, or not a radio, but I'll go to Spotify and I'll hear that, I'll hear it, or I'll read something about a band that's going on tour, and it's like, oh shit, I know those guys. They're still out there playing. That's cool, see someone like Sugar Ray or Everclear or E6. It's like, oh shit, all right, well, they're still out there making music. But you like original music too, right? When you played, did you ever have a band? Did you ever have a band of your own that played original?
No, but part of that's my own fault. I people don't think of it as such, but Orlando is like a musical hub, man. There's so many bands in Orlando and so much live music, especially when I was coming up there. But I just never really, hunkered down to get better at the craft. And I was too busy partying. I wasted a lot of my time partying instead of doing something more productive with my time, like get an actual band going. But, I played around with a few other bands and I'd write some songs and we get up and sing, et cetera, too. But it was never anything serious. And it's kind of a regret. But at the same time, the way I used to party back then, it's probably saved my life by not getting any more into the music scene than I already was, because I would have probably drank myself to death. I was pretty bad back then. So,
yeah, you don't drink anymore, do you?
No, I've not drank in 5 years. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, I've been straight edge since about 21 or 22. So
yeah, I was straight edge all the way through. And people.
This is grape juice, by the way, in case anyone's wondering.
All right, let's see if I can bring this up. I'm frozen again. Am I frozen? There I go. Oh man,
I think you're back again.
Yeah, this is just driving me bonkers. It's just absolutely. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, what? I don't know why he's doing it.
I'll tell you, interesting musical aside is up there. Who was that? Said like the quietness. I Am Betty J Gathers. I saw Al Stewart live at a coffee shop. It was like a supper club. And there was only about maybe 80 people in there. That's one of the best shows I ever saw in my life. Him just solo with an acoustic guitar. Absolutely incredible show. So I haven't got to do anything that cool in so long. I miss the music scene. There's none up here in West Virginia. So
I actually had two of his records when he came out. Yeah, Al Stewart, Year of the Cat, baby. You can't deny that.
I love Roads to Moscow. It's like one of my favorite songs of all time. So yeah.
Let's see. Kaz says that he's been straight edge for years. His only vice is coffee. That's not a vice. That's life. That's life. Let's see. People mention some of the bands they listen to still. Hold on here. I gotta say. Who put that? Okay. I booked Real by Fish. I booked Mustard Plug. So I worked with both those bands. Not Parker Kings though. I don't know who they were. Yeah, but I did a show with Real Big Fish and Mustard Plug. Less Than Jake. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Safe Ferris. Gosh, so many ska bands I listen to. Ska is fun.
It's got some energy.
Definitely a good yeah.
Might be Giants and all them, but yeah.
Yeah, they might be Giants. Yeah, Miracle Legion. Yeah, there's been a lot of great bands. But yeah, you know what though? So Orlando, I never knew Orlando was a poppin' place for music. And it is sort of weird though. It is sort of weird how cover bands make so much more money than original bands.
It's
You come up to a bar owner and you sit there and say, "Yeah, I have original music." Okay, right. You come up there and say, "Yeah, I can play 200 songs that you on top 40 radio." Oh yeah, here you go. Here's $500.
it's
500 bucks, or $150 per set. Do 3 sets a night. Playing somebody else's music, and it's like, I mean, I admire the musicians that do it because it takes a lot of skill, but at the same time, it's like you're playing somebody else's music.
I,
It's like you're not playing, you're not creative. You're just you're like a robot.
I would like
Um,
work, 1 or 2 covers into a set, but if depending where you're playing, but I was like, I want to do originals. That's what I want to do, and I don't want to just ape without thinking about it for the rest of my life. I mean, that's each their own, takes everybody. You go to bars, people want to hear the same old thing over and over and over again. So I can understand that, I guess. But it's hard for original bands. Only the hardcore scene likes anything original. That's the funny part. So you get to regular clubs and bars, they don't want to see original or hear original. They just it's got to be the same old, same old.
I'm actually going to try to work this a little bit. Hopefully I can. Okay, let's see if that works a little bit.
See Fairy Dust. Oh, NXS keeps popping up on your set list. My favorite song by NXS is called "The Stairs," and that's. But I haven't listened to that band quite some time. Used to like them back in the '80s.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? As far as the commercial radios, see, the Doors, the Pretenders, No Doubt. Yes, saw No Doubt play across the street from me in front of about 40 people. About 3 years after that show, I saw them play in front of 25,000 with No Doubt, Weezer, and In the Swap. And I had booked Weezer and In the Swap before they were signed. So
It doesn't take long,
no.
to get going. It's no, even then things were moving a lot faster. Long gone are the days where you had to grind and grind and grind, like say the Beatles did for like 8 or 9 years in small clubs and working your way up and working your way up. Now you can get discovered like that, and it's off to the races. But
Nope, that didn't work either.
I went through my Doors phase there, Fairy Dust. I
What
was
do you?
Doors
What do
everything.
you? Well, I mean, looking back at it now, I mean, you said that you escaped from it. So, I mean, is it something you would still like to try to do? I mean, if you got an opportunity to say put together a band and do some covers somewhere, play a couple of parties, is that something you'd like to do? Just to be able to say you did it?
Yeah, it'd be good. And the best way to get better at something is to have a deadline for me. So if I say, like, okay, we got a event coming up in 2 months, you need to come up and play a set with us. So that would get me with the back against the wall to get out there and actually learn the songs better, get more polished, and just get up there and say I did it, and it'd be fun. It'd be fun as long as we can do original or two. That's
You,
I would
you,
want
you
to.
you have quite a few. You have quite a few instruments. How many instruments do you own? I mean, I've seen you'll play guitar, different guitars. I mean, how many do you own?
Let's see. I got 3 basses. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guitars. So nine instruments.
How often a week do you play?
Oh, daily, pretty much daily. Chet Atkins had a great saying. He says, if I don't play for every day, other people will notice, and if I don't play for 2 days, I notice. And so it's I'm trying to get better. And if nothing else, I take 15 minutes and go scrum a little bit just to keep the rhythm, and try to get better at it that way. So yeah, there's probably not a day that goes by I don't pick up something. Plus, my office is right here in my basement with all my musical instruments, so it's kind of convenient. So I can just get up, stretch my legs, and play guitar for a few minutes, and then sit down and do work again.
Now, do you work from home?
Now, well, I do and I don't. I just
Okay.
started a new business actually with a partner, and we'll be traveling around quite a bit here shortly. But right now we're working out of the house, making contacts and doing the paperwork we got to do and all that. But we'll be going out and doing trainings here in the real near future. Actually, in a few weeks we're going to get started on that. So it's going to get even busier for me. As I think we're already busy enough between YouTube and church and work and all that stuff too. So yeah, so it's going to be something.
When did you start your YouTube channel?
Oh, about 5 years ago. I didn't realize it'd been that long, but yeah, almost 5 years ago.
Okay.
2018, I think, is when I started, something like that.
Okay. Um, yeah, you just recently passed 1,000 subs as well. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you. It took me forever. My first year, I think I had 70 subs, and it grows very slowly. My channel, I think I have a little too much variety on the channel, and so you don't get the daily viewers, but it is. And I cut so far back on my content nowadays. I just
Uh,
I was kind of, it turned into a job, and a job that didn't pay, so I kind of got less enamored with it, and I just, because I was putting out a video every other day at least, and I edited a ton of stuff in my videos, and it got to be so much work, and plus I was working full time, got the family and everything else going on, and it just got to be too much. So I really dialed back on the content. So now I do a lot easier stuff, Dollar Tree Gourmet and things like that I can do much faster.
um, yeah, I mean, you were rocketing up there really fast. I mean, you had the Friday night hangouts, and you had Jay with you. Um, and now is Jay ever going to come back to the hangouts, or were you just going to keep it solo, or are you going to try to get another co-host?
It's easier with two. I mean, sometimes I got to sit there and just think of something to say, but it's easier when you got things to bounce off people, and he can cover me if I have to step away from the camera. Jay actually got a different job, so the schedule did not line up, is why he's not on the show anymore. But I mean, we didn't have a falling out or anything. He just had to go to
No,
work,
right.
and he was out of work for quite a while because of COVID. He's in New York City, so he had to take the job, and so that's where that happened. If he ever gets off that schedule, I'd love to have him back. So we had great times.
Yeah, I was wondering. I mean, I remember that. I'm just surprised because I'm surprised because you have definitely have a rogues gallery on Fridays. If you guys want to be entertained on a Friday night, you would definitely want to go hang out with Dave's channel. That is a lot of fun. I'm actually surprised when you say that because I was just wondering if you just want solo, just do solo. I never thought that you were looking for somebody. Have you asked any of the guys that you because you have some really humorous people in your channel that would be really fun to co-host. Have you ever approached anybody to ask them to come up and do that?
A few, I guess. See, a lot of people don't want to use Discord, and I switched over to Discord, and for whatever reason, they don't want to use it. I used to be on StreamYards for years, like this is StreamYards, and then I switched over at Jay's prompting, and I haven't really switched back. So I think a lot of people don't want to fool around with Discord. But I thought about it, but a lot of it, I've asked a few people, and they can't really commit to it. So I don't want to say, Friday Night Hangouts with Dave and etc. if I don't know that the person's going to be there every week. Jay and I did it for 2 years, almost every Friday. So
You had that one co-host there for a while that was quite a shooting star. So like I'm thinking that maybe you should try to get that co-host back, maybe in a different maybe different look, but I still think you should. It does equal views.
Yeah, it's true. That co-host is a different state, though. It's a bit of a ride. But he's a little bigger now than he was then.
He was very popular, by the way. You know that, right?
Yeah, and I still have the scars to prove it. Yeah, he's quite popular. He gave me a lot of extra work down here in the basement because that's where they used to stay, was down here, and then he was a wrecking crew. That one was.
So what we're talking about is the third member of Friday Night Hangouts. Dave got a cat. And not just any cat, but he got Orange Cat, and such a great name for it too. What did you name your cat again?
Orange. It wasn't mine. It was the daughter's cat, and she didn't name it. And I was like, Orange. Oh. So, and the name kind of stuck. She switched it to Carrot later on, but I was like, that's Orange. Always gonna be Orange to me. So
Orange. Yeah. And so Orange would come out to the show, and everybody in your chat would be sitting there telling you to bring Orange up. You're always kind of like, yeah, he's down in the basement. He's up in the upstairs. He's everywhere but the room. And everybody's sitting there, and they would give you so much guff over it. Show us the cat, and it wasn't me either because I was in there like every other week. I stopped by, for Orange, for an Orange update. But there'd be other guys in the chat. Were you surprised to see what kind of reaction you got when you got your cat?
Yeah,
they like all these nerds and all these comic book guys and music guys. All of a sudden, it's like, dude, man, where's the cat at? Where's the cat?
It was like my own personal Morris. So I don't know. But
I was surprised by by some of the people. I think Jackson. I think he was the cat's #1 fan.
It sounds like something he'd like, but Mr. Roy Kirk would enjoy watching him crash
But you
the
make
party.
I mean, yeah. I mean, is there something in the future you would think about trying to get another animal?
I don't know, because we talked about actually moving into an RV and traveling around before I open this company. Now, I don't think we're moving anytime soon, but so we're talking about moving into kind of a transient lifestyle, and I don't know if I want to drag a pet through that, and there's not a lot of room in those things, and I just feel bad. I'm always been under the impression that I don't like keeping cats and dogs indoors too much. I want them to roam a little bit free and have some semblance of a life, but some animals don't like it. Some cats don't like going outside.
Most cats, if given a chance, they like to live indoors.
So they're probably smarter, but yeah. So I don't know if we'll have another one or not. The wife actually wants a dog. I'm not really. I work too much. She works a lot. I don't think it's fair to leave the dog alone for 10, 12 hours a day, either. So I don't know. It's tough.
Did your wife ever exhibit any interest in your YouTube channel? Does she ever come down and suggest that, let's do none?
It bores her to death. She says, "You're boring." So
she said that about your show?
She never watches.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. We got to defend you here. To Mrs. Genome here by saying that your husband's channel is anything but boring, especially the new series you started, Dollar Tree Gourmet. Now, how the hell did you come up with that? Because I see a lot of people, a lot of channels, they'll sit there and they'll do Dollar Tree hauls. Look what they got at the Dollar Tree. Which personally sort of blows me away, because it's like, okay, so you're going to the Dollar Tree and you're staying there, and I got a Dollar Tree haul. I'm like, I don't quite get that myself. I'm just thinking you went to the Dollar Tree, but your series has sort of changed my mind a little bit, because now Dollar Tree has become like, when I see you come up with a new one, when you come up with something new at the Dollar Tree, your series is really taken off. So where did you get the idea of doing Dollar Tree Gourmet from?
I'm not sure where it grew. I know where it started. I'm kind of a low-grade prepper, always have been, and I did a video a couple years ago. Can you make a prep bag for $20 at the Dollar Tree? So I went and got 20 items at the Dollar. That's back when it was actually $1 at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Because there's a Dollar Tree in the plaza I used to work in, so it was very convenient for me. So I built a emergency bag kit for your vehicle for $20, and I think it came to me not too long after that. I saw something I was just looking around for something. I like to find weird things in stores. And I think it was like a spring roll or something. And I got a spring roll. It's like, I'll try this for lunch or something today. And I ate it. And it's like, this is actually pretty good. It's like, more people need to know about this. And from there, that was it, man. I was like, you know what? Let's try out all the different food stuff they have at the Dollar Tree and see if it's any good or not. Because people are usually kind of freaked out by food at the Dollar Tree. And I don't blame them. But so I think that's how it started, was from the prepping video that I did years ago. And
people are commenting, always want to see the cats. Can't believe you remember Morris. He was way back in my time. Yeah, Morris was great. And then he said, so glad you're considering the feelings, the life of the animal before deciding to get one.
Most people don't. Yeah. A lot of pet owners don't consider that sort of thing. And
Felix the cat, talk about old. Yep, Felix in his magic bag.
Whenever he's in a fix, he reaches into his bag of tricks.
Yeah. The Dollar Tree. Now the Dollar Tree. Yeah, now they had 99-cent stores, but I don't think there's any more 99-cent stores. We used to have one around here, but it was only 99 cents in name only until you got inside there, and then you see, prices, and it's like, I thought you said it was supposed to be 99 cents. And they were like, well, yeah, but plus the $2 shipping costs and the $3 shelving and the $5 transportation, and so that's the reason why it's the 99-cent item is like $14.99. So you did your spring roll. It worked out. What else have you done? What else have you tried at the Dollar Tree for the Dollar Tree Gourmet? You seem to like the drinks quite a bit.
Yeah, well, they have more of them to choose from, kind of, and some of them don't scare me as much. There's a couple of things even there I probably won't try. I did try a shrimp egg roll and a lobster egg roll there, and one of the guys he's actually co-hosted with me a few times on the channel, Bub. He's like, I was sitting there watching the video, praying you wouldn't actually eat that thing. He's like, who knows where this thing was manufactured and what is in there. And I've tons of stuff between sandwiches that they have in there. Some are good, some are decent, some are pretty awful. Like I said, you got the spring rolls and the egg rolls, burritos there. I've got a lot of videos already shot that I actually haven't uploaded yet. I kind of stagger them out.
Right.
And drinks like galore. I've even got different coffees. I did upload one of the coffees, but there's like 3 or 4 different coffees I bought there. I just need to record the video for them to see if they're any good, and just there's more food there than you would think.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just interesting. And
I buy the burritos.
yeah, some of them are okay.
Yeah.
Here's what makes the series hard is I try not to go with anything that's name brand. So like if you get a Pepsi and they sell Pepsis there, at Dollar Tree, it's no different than the Pepsi down at any other store. I'm trying to get stuff that maybe no one here has never heard of before. So that makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, I would not suggest doing that if you have pets. You do not want to be a Dollar Tree gourmet and do that for your pets because you're right. You don't know what the hell's in the bag. I won't buy. I won't buy pet food from there.
Kangaroo pouch and everything else, but
not unless it's a brand name. No. Here's a 99-cent a bag of dog treats. No thanks.
yeah. Sometimes you pay for what you get. The humans eat better at Dollar Tree than the pets, probably.
But you're right. I mean, I do see a lot of people shop the Dollar Tree for groceries. And sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it used to be worth it a little bit more when it was $1. But there's a big difference between $1 and $1.25 when you're shopping. And if you're buying for the same amount if you're going in there, you're buying for the same amount for $1.25 versus what you're paying for $4, not much of a deal.
Nope.
What's the worst thing that what's the worst thing you've tried that you just said, oh hell no?
Oh, it was that Ready sports drink. It was like strawberry kiwi or something, and it tasted rancid. You can see it in the video. I haven't uploaded video on that one. Look up Ready Sports Drink if you go to my channel, and you get to see my expression on that one. It was all I could do from run over and spit it into the friggin' sink. But and that coconut juice one I just did was pretty bad too. That was just vile. Those two were rough, man.
That's a really fun series and very innovative too. And you mentioned something about being a low-key prepper.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that now, considering the state of the world? I mean, I'm sure you got your eyes peeled.
Yeah,
Being former Army, I'm sure you got your eyes peeled on what's been going on in the world.
Yeah, no more than I actually ever was. And the funny part is, a lot of preppers can't turn it off, and so you wind up, creating this bomb shelter around you. And really, it's not a wise prepping goal. But I keep a year's worth of food in my house at basically all times, and always have. So, I'm pretty much tapped out on supplies. I don't need anything else, and I build most of my own stuff. So I don't have to go out and constantly buy the newest, latest, greatest thing. We drink Berkey water and lots of stores of dry goods, rice. We got vacuum sealed food at a couple different places, different properties and whatever. But not really. I don't prep any more than we do. We just kind of rotate our stock and to make sure we always have it on tap. And even doesn't have to be some great civil breakdown. You saw how bad the supply chain got a few years ago, and
pandemic.
People don't prepare. The average person has less than 3 weeks worth of food in their home at any given time, and that's just that's not planning very well. I'm a contingency planner kind of guy, so I like to have food. And you know what? You're gonna use it. Everything like prep with is not something esoteric like I need 4 million rounds of ammunition that you can never use anyway. Or 16 gallons of petroleum jelly or whatever it is people like to hoard and prep with. It's like just the staples that you can actually cook in a regular meal and use, so it doesn't sit there and just go bad in your closet or whatever while you're waiting to use it. So it's I'm more of a down to earth kind of prepper, and I say low key, low grade. Some people get way too into it, I think, and it can become its own mania, and you have to be careful not to let it take over your life.
I think there was a show that used to come on a few years ago called Doomsday Prepper. Did you ever watch that show?
I saw a few of those. They buy old silos and stuff too.
Yeah. It was sort of like it was weird. It was like weird watching that. It was like It's almost once they turned the camera on people, they went from 0 to like, overdoing it like overnight. Before you would have like 3 days, 3 weeks of food, so stored up. Next thing you know, you're watching some guy. You're right. They're buying tractor trailers. The trailers, they're digging big holes and they're putting the trailer in
Yep.
there and burying it. And you just wonder, like, that might work for maybe a civil disorder or disaster, but in the serious shit, that ain't gonna save you.
No, it's not. And my favorite ones when they get ones out of state. They get one a couple states over. They get their doomsday property, whatever. It's like, well, how are you going to get there? If things
Yeah.
really go down, if we get an EMP, your truck ain't going to drive there. Nothing is
Yeah.
going to go over there. You got to walk all the way there. So if it's not where you're at, it doesn't do you much good. The staying in place is usually not a good survival plan for those of you wondering like how to prep and all that. Usually just have enough food to get you through a month. But if things break down society wise longer than that, there's gonna be roving bands out there, people trying to take your stuff. You need to be on the move. So don't hunker down too much, But anyway.
See, I was never a prepper, just had anxiety issues due to an attack many years ago. Had to insulate myself. Yeah, I get it. See, I've always had months worth of shelf stable food. But it's really, really bad for diabetics like yourself. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would think so. Let's see. A lot of people were talking about this. Okay, I didn't know it was that. I didn't know it's cool.
It's an interesting subject sometimes,
Yeah,
like on all ends of the spectrum of it.
yeah. It's like, yeah, I have a pantry and everything else, and I used to be a lot more faithful to that. I should get back into it a little bit. For the recession. Like one thing we got when me and my wife at the time when the Great Recession hit, there was a time where, damn, this is crazy. Sorry about that. I'm frozen again.
That's okay. You're still talking, so
Just really bad.
and that's a thing too. Their key is especially if you're in a city area, a breakdown of transportation in a few days, and you're in an emergency situation pretty quick. So that's really good. It's really important for you guys who live in cities, if that's where you live, to have a pretty good store of not only food but water. Water is just as important because if the grid goes down, that water is not getting purified anymore, so it can become toxic really quick. And so it's important to keep those in storage if you have room.
Yeah. Hello, Sarah. Let's see, Sarah. Yeah, I didn't realize that. In fact, I don't really, maybe because this is where I'm at or whatnot, I don't really see a lot of people. I've seen some people go out there and, they'll do crochet hauls or they'll do stuff like that. But I mean, you're right. I mean, I see more people doing hauling or prepping of ammunition and guns than I do people with food.
Makes no sense. You can't eat bullets. You can only fire one gun at a time. And I just never understood it, but it makes them feel better. It's kind of cathartic sometimes. And that's okay. Just don't let it take over your life, and, the funny part is if you get too into prepping, it can make you so fearful. You prep, so you're supposed to prep so to not be fearful, right? But these people get more fearful. It makes them so paranoid when they get too far into it. And then they blow all their money on doomsday stuff, right? And then forget to live today. So it's good to step away from it.
Yeah,
pretty regular.
I've seen that. I've seen people with a whole basement full of stuff, and you go like, wow, I'm just thinking all that much money they spent on that, and it's like, it's like, what's it worth it spending all your money on it, especially if you have to move all of a sudden because you don't have a job. What are you gonna do with all that?
It's funny is Betty there. I am Betty. The dumbest thing I ever heard was the best room to be in if your nuclear bomb goes off. I know it's right. Remember they used to have the drills where you get on your desk. Kevin Meaney, the comedian, said that was just make it easier for them to come and clean you up because you'd be in like one little contained puddle. But
I'm just thinking about that too. It's like, I live here in the Midwest. I live here in Metro Detroit, and it's like, well, I look at two ways. One, we're probably going to get hit by one, and two, I don't think it necessarily would screw Detroit up. It might be, if anything, it might be an improvement, you know. But that's just me, of course. So there's that. Um, so what do you like to do during your off hours? I mean, when you're not doing the tube and you're not working, what do you like to hang out and do?
Man, that's a good question. I don't even watch movies that much anymore, and I used to have so much more free time. It's funny, as I get older, I thought I'd have more of that, but it seems I get busier the older I get. That's okay. I like to stay busy with stuff, but I don't game much anymore. I'll pop a video game in every now and then, and mostly just older games because I don't like that much new. I'm such a curmudgeon. Um,
Oh, I still have my PS2. I still have my PS2 set. I play baseball and football, and that's all I can handle.
But I'll do all that. I actually get bored enough to go do video. I'll go out and work on a vehicle or something. I go out and clean in my garage. It's usually something productive I can do. I like to do productive things. I do a lot of work at the church and do stuff over there for them and do their video production too. So uh, I don't know.
How important is your church to you?
It's everything to me. 3 days a week, every week. Saturday mornings too, going doing uh, volunteer stuff. We go do visitations at rest homes and nursing homes and all that to talk to the people that no one else will talk to. And, outreach program. It's not a real big church, it's only like 100 people in there, but whatever. We're real close knit. And it's just, it's a great thing. Church camp every year. And, for me, I feel like it's the least I can do. I do daily Bible read uploads on Facebook or whatever, and I upload those to YouTube later on a different channel. So, yeah, it's real important to me. I don't talk about it a lot on social media, just for the fact that, people think you're faking, you know, uh, when you talk about that too much, a lot of people think you're a charlatan when you start talking about that sort of thing online, but
Is,
it's important to
is
me.
that
I mean,
because it's really true though for most of the American church? Do you think that most of the American Christians, so to speak, do you feel like they I mean, is it hard for you to be a walking Christian when you look around and you see so much dross and dishonesty? I mean,
I
it,
come
it,
from the land of Benny Hinn, and it's
oh,
it's hard, man. It's hard, and it makes it's hard enough nowadays to be a person of faith, really is, and that just makes it so much harder. And the church is supposed to foster trust, and it's become almost anything but. And people start looking at you almost with suspicion when they find out, well, you're a regular churchgoer. So, what kind of church are you in? Are you one of those ones that once run around in suits and all that? And I don't know. It's just
Benny Hinn.
it's rough sometimes, but it is. That's why I don't talk about it much on social media, and I like
But I
people
mean,
to come and
you
see.
don't. But I mean, you don't like Benny Hinn, and you were just
Oh gosh, no,
did you get
no,
lumped
that
you get lumped into that? Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, someone like a Joel Osteen
yeah,
or yeah, all that
these
the prosperity preachers, so to speak. Uh, it's
the
like,
faith healers and stuff that run around like
oh,
all these, and they prey on people. They're predators, and they're in for a rude awakening at the moment of death. At least that's what I believe. But in the
dude,
meantime, they're giving they're giving true people of faith a real black eye, and it's so. But yeah, so getting back to your original question, yeah, it's quite important to me. It's the most important thing in my life, and I, anyone, I encourage anyone out there who is afraid of it. Maybe they're having some pulls, they're feeling something in their heart that there's something higher for them. Please go discover it. Don't let the Joel Osteen, don't let the Benny Hinn's turn you off. Don't let all of these reports of misgivings in the Catholic Church. I'm Baptist, but I mean turn you away from God. That's the things of the world. So I encourage research for yourself, and I do this with Christians too. It's like don't quote scripture to me and not know where it comes from in the Bible too. And
right.
so get out there and learn and discover for yourself. So I'll leave it there. I don't want to scare off
Yeah.
any of your guests or anything like that.
Oh
So
no,
yeah.
it's refreshing. No, it's refreshing. I don't mind talking about it at all. Let's see. See, Sarah says that she has a brother, but your same name. Let's see. And Brene mentions
Good
that's
name.
why she doesn't believe in man-made religion. Well, that would eliminate the American church. Uh,
Yes.
see, only Jesus Christ, my Lord. Yep. Yeah. I do believe that America is, for many reasons, in Sodom and Gomorrah times. That's for sure. Um,
It's interesting times, but like I said, it's for each person to discover on their own. And I just hope, like I said, and a lot of people do it in silence. You know, if you're afraid of people, what they're going to think about you, learn on your own. And but
And I shouldn't be afraid.
yeah,
It's just very hard to find. The spirit. This might ruffle fur, but it's how I feel. It's like America's no longer a Christian nation, and it probably hasn't been since probably toward the end of World War II.
it's
I
been a
think the World
while.
War, yeah, I think it's the last gasp of any spirituality in this country, because look what's happening to us now. We're sliding toward where Germany was in the 30s. And do you think God is here for that? I don't think so. Um, so now,
So,
did you get in the church? Did you get in the church at the same time that you got your sobriety? Was that the calling that you got?
you
If you don't
know,
mind me asking.
no, I don't mind at all. Coincidentally, sobriety came first. And I never went to any classes or anything like that. I had been drifting away from alcohol for years and years. And then my body started telling me, you need to stop. What do you keep doing this for? You're drinking out of habit at this point. But it was like a few years later after that. And, I've been an atheist most of my life. When I was young, they used to drop me off at church and stuff me in the suit, drop me off at church and leave and come back and get me. And then, the church kind of messed up where I was at. And that was it. I never went back. And I kind of called myself an atheist for 35, 36 years, and then, I just started looking at the patterns that had developed in my life and realized that there was a guiding force in my life, whether I wanted to admit it or not. And that's kind of it, just all came in at once. And so, even a middle-aged guy like myself who's jaded and suspicious and they too can be turned around, just got to open your heart and mind
I,
too. So
of any words I could describe, to describe you, I would actually sit there and say jaded's no longer, I would think, a word that applies to you.
it's
Um,
changed my outlook a lot on life. I've always been kind of a jolly guy and happy and want to
yeah,
see the best in people. But now I know it, I know that I'm supposed to. And so I try
oh
not to be as suspicious as I used to be. And I don't think I am actually. So
no, I think when I first met you, I'll be so bold to say when I first met you, I mean, it was like I was a little worried about it because I was thinking, okay, I like this guy a lot, but then I started noticing, like it seemed like some of the stuff we were saying was like, but like about a year or so ago, it's like you're almost like you're right in the middle. I would actually dare say call you a centrist. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
you see, I mean, and you see it from both sides. When I first met you, I always saw you sort of seeing it from the right side. But as I watched and you talked and and people in the chat, I could see that he's not nearly leaning that way anymore. He's right in the middle. He sees the good and the bad. I mean, and the right and the left. And I think that's and it shows an open mind. Is really what it shows, and I appreciate that. And for me, I like being around open-minded people because open-minded people they're open to any and all possibilities. You don't have to agree with everybody. That's what liberalism is.
Mm.
It's liberalism is basically of many minds, of many thoughts. That's what means. It's like means anything could be happen. Anything could be possible. Is possible. And the same thing even applies to the church. With God, it says in the Bible, with all things with God, with all things are possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what that generally means. We just know that it can be possible. Anything that we can think of or apply to our lives, it could be possible. And I think that provides and you're right. Your Friday nights, I mean, they are a fun place to go to. I highly recommend it. When I think about Fridays, like when I'm doing streams this Friday. I'm gonna let myself freeze. I hope everybody can hear me still because I'm touching it, I'm tired of touching this damn phone. Um, so hopefully everybody can still hear me. Um, if you still can hear me, hit a 1. Give me a 1 if you can still hear me. Oh my God.
I can still hear you. So if
Okay.
nothing else,
Yeah, this phone is just nuts.
that's something about interviews, man. I don't know if your other ones
I
go
don't
off
know.
better than mine, but
I'm absolutely cursed. I haven't, and the thing is, this happened right as we went on. The phone was fine all the way up till right when we went on.
I have that effect.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, see, I can't even bring on my. There we
And thank you
go.
for the kind words there, Key, by the way.
Um, yeah. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Love how Dave's background changes too. Oh yeah. Don't you have a Star Trek background?
Yeah, I do. I don't have it uploaded here, but I didn't have time before I came on. Sorry, I'm so zoomed in. StreamYards is really funny. Like if you full screen me, it zooms back out again, but for whatever reason, I have to zoom it way in for StreamYards and drag the green screen out even further. You can't control the camera in StreamYards, which is another thing I don't like. But
Um,
yeah, so I like to
yeah.
change the background.
You said you're on Discord. Now is that where you generally hang out now? Is Discord? Isn't that a gaming platform, or is that a like a discussion platform?
It was originally a gaming platform, and I think it gets used for all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I do all my live streams through Discord. That's all I do through there anymore. It's just the Friday night show.
Okay.
But
Um,
super like, and I should tell it's the StreamYards when I quit using them, but it's just so much more. That's the word I'm looking for. Robust, right? I love that word. But it's like so many modules you can do, and there's so many things you can tinker with and move things around. It's just so much more. I don't know. It's just much more fulfilling to use for the stream. I can do more of my mechanical trickeries, so
okay.
they can distract from this and actually look at stuff that's going on in the background or whatever. So
Well, I mean, other than when that you started your new business, like you said, you were thinking about going on and becoming a van lifer, but now got your new business going. So you're gonna stay right where you're at. Now you're in Pennsylvania, right?
West Virginia,
Border of West Virginia, or deep in the country?
we're kind of in the center. We're in Putnam County, so we're kind of
I don't know
close to
why
the
I always
biggest
thought you
city.
were in
But
Pennsylvania.
no,
What got you into West Virginia?
wife, she's from here. She's from the area up
Okay,
here,
I
and
you know what I dig it.
her dad got sick, real sick, a couple years back, and we were making a lot of trips up here to be with him. She's like, "Well, what'd you think about
Uh,
moving up there?" And
look,
yeah,
look who came in late, but we
yep,
already we
Mr.
talked.
Royker.
Yeah, we were already talking about you, Jackson. Yeah,
We did
we
talk
talked.
about you earlier,
That's right, man. We're talking. Yeah, we're talking some ish about you. No.
but that's how it happens. Because no one actually moves up here
Oh,
to
well,
West Virginia, but so I had to in, so to speak. So we moved up here, and her dad
I
got
know.
better.
No, I can understand that because I moved from California to Michigan to be with my wife.
Mm.
So more power to us,
I've
right?
I've never been a location guy. Look, wherever you're living is where you're at, and I've never been like, I'll move to Montana tomorrow if something comes up there, or Idaho or Nebraska. I don't care, as long as I have a home I'm comfortable in and someone I want to be with. I really don't care where I'm living. And but I've always been like that. I've always kind of grew up a nomad, and I think that just kind of it sticks with you for your whole life.
I think that hold on, here we go again. This is just bonkers.
You might be having bandwidth issues on your end then.
I don't know.
Mm.
It could be. It could be. I'll figure it out once it's over with. I'll figure it
Well,
out.
fair. Yes, we were actually talking about getting a fifth wheel, so not quite a van, but we were going to be on the road, and I was going to do a YouTube channel with it too. But yeah,
Oh gosh, there's so many cool channels. Yeah, you would actually be really good at that.
I got all the gear, so that helps.
I definitely think so. Definitely. That would be a fun show to watch. So what do you have in the plans for the rest of the year? I mean, do you have do you guys usually go on a yearly vacation? Do you have like big plans that you go, or is
Not.
it the fear of people? Because I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
not really excited to go outside to go places. I should, but I'm not. Do you like going? I mean, do you like doing vacations where there's least amount of people, or?
Yeah, I like out of the way places. See, here's the thing. I used to travel for work a lot, so I got really burnt out on travel, and I really don't care if I ever do it again, to be honest. But the wife likes to go, but we don't really vacation very much. I'm not good on vacations. I just work, and I'm always fretting. Feel like I've got something to do when I'm on vacation when I don't, But last one I took was about 2.5 years ago. We went cross country. Actually, we went all the way out to Utah and up to South Dakota and all that, and came back around and saw like 6 different national parks and places in a whirlwind tour of the U.S. But I don't know what the next vacation is going to be. I do have a fellow YouTuber, his friends out in Nebraska, wanted me to come out and see them, so maybe I'll go out there and hang out with them. But I don't know. I haven't planned that far ahead for vacation. I just know this next couple months I'm going to be really, really, really busy. So drumming up business and laying out plans for the future. So that sort of thing. It's a lot of work and
Now,
a lot
your
of
business,
time.
you mentioned you're going to go on the road to train. Are you going to be
Mhm.
training yourself, or are you going to be training people?
I'm going to be training people, and basically, what my partner and I do is we're going to be training youth with disabilities on how to enter the workplace, how to self-advocate, and basically get along outside of the school system. Our system does not prepare our youth at all for life outside the walls of the institution, and we're seeing that more and more. And then you're setting up these kids for failure. And, for the last 7.5 years, I worked for the Division of Rehabilitation. We work with people with disabilities, get them back to work, give them a sense of self-worth. And we're kind of just doing this as a private company now because we see the need here in West Virginia. There's a lot of pockets of rural areas where these kids have no services. So basically,
Wow.
once they're out of high school, they're done. There's no more social services. So either get on the government dole or die of drug overdose, and it's
Right.
even harder for kids with disabilities because they don't have the support systems in the state like other states do. So yeah, we out there and training kids with disabilities how to self-advocate, how to enter the workforce, how to deal with team dynamics, how to get a job, how to keep a job, and that sort of thing, because there's intrinsic value to work, and it's good to feel useful. All too often it's easy, it's really bad in this state, it's generational poverty,
Yeah.
staying on the government dole the whole time. And all you have to live for is that next check that's coming to you. And you feel like you didn't earn it. You didn't do anything and you feel worthless, So we're teaching these kids there's another way. Yes, you can keep your benefits. You can still work. You can go get a part-time job. Here's how you do it, and here's what you're going to do when you get in there. Because once again, a lot of the special ed programs keep these kids very isolated. So they're just with these very small groups and they don't know a lot of these team dynamics they're going to have to deal with out there in the world. So, and in college. So it's a labor of love, man. And I can't wait to get started. We've got several weeks already lined up for the summer. These summer camps we run 2 and 3 day camps and get them trained up and ready to get out there and get a job, ready to get out there and get a sense of self-worth and learn you can contribute,
Now, after you do the initial work camp, or the introduction, how are you going to follow up with that? I mean, are you training a follow up force to go behind them, see how they're doing, or you're just going to rotate back through
So
you and your
what
partner?
we wind up doing is like everybody who's referred to us is actually referred to us. There's an organization called the Division of Rehabilitation Services, and basically they're nationwide program for getting people with disabilities to work. And started out as a veterans job assistant program after World War II, and it evolved into that, people with disabilities. And so they're actually already clients of theirs. And so they come to us to give them that specialized training, but they'll be with the division for forever, how long they're with the division, and they'll help walk them through. So we'll have some more follow up with the people we're working with, but not always, but they still have a support system with the state itself. So the job program. So
Mm.
yeah. We won't probably see a lot of them after we're done, but we may, and we have other training programs too. We have several different ones we do. So we could see the same kids all the way through high school. And
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
and
So
that's actually the
you're gonna
plan.
start younger. You're gonna start like at the junior high level, or are you gonna start at the high
They
school level, freshman
right
level?
right now they want it like basically ninth grade up. They're talking about bringing it starting in eighth grade. Because here's the problem, and I know this is probably not the most exciting thing to hear about for your listening audience, but okay, if you are someone with a disability and you have already been signed up in the school under what's called an IEP or a 504, whatever, but basically there's a known disability or you're in a special ed class or something like that. The problem is if that school doesn't push not only learning about the ADA and your personal rights, right, as a disabled person, they also don't push the Division of Rehabilitation, which helps get the kids ready to go out to work and has all the resources to help them work, right? They don't know to advocate for themselves. So a lot of these kids will drift all the way through high school, not knowing that these programs even exist because their guidance counselors weren't doing their job or whatever very well. And they're turned loose. And by the time they're turned loose, it's too late for a lot of these programs, So yeah, we're trying to get them really started young in high school so they can prepare for either higher education in college or entering the workforce, but doing it before they go out and make a mess of it, going in ill prepared to situations. It's a different game too, because like when you and I were going, I had to go knock on doors and beat the bushes for work, and it's a different game now. You got computer logins to do and automated stuff, and you have to go through several almost committees to even get a job interview. So when you get in front of that person, you better be ready, right? And yeah, so that's kind of why we're specializing in that. So yeah, we're starting with them pretty young.
That sounds like a really worthy program. I would like to, if you come back and hang out with us again, I'd definitely like to hear it. Well, definitely you'll be letting us know on Fridays, right? You'll give updates to, because some of us we really do want to know what's going on, and it'll be cool to sit there and watch you expand your business and help these people. It'll be fun to watch. Hopefully you'll be able to bring us some updates on Friday nights.
Yep, we certainly will.
Yeah, that would be cool. I want to go ahead and I've hit my mark, so I want to go ahead and say thank you for coming out and hanging out with us, Dave. I'm sorry about my tech problems. We've got to be really disconcerting. I don't know what happened. As soon as we're done, I'll figure it out. But I definitely want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. And I want to thank the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it.
You get a great chat.
Jackson mentioned my guidance counselor never mentioned rehab services to me. Yeah, me either. Mine either.
It's terrible. I mean, I know you need to get this wrapped up. One of the slogans we used to have in the division was, "We are the best kept secret in West Virginia," and it can be said nationwide. And that's the antithesis of what we should be. Like every person who is in one of those special ed classes or has a listed disability should be signed up. That's what they're there for, but they don't know about all these services they can get. And so they have a lot of trouble in school, and even in college, there's still accommodations they can get in college. They got to know about the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and all that. They need to know how to self-advocate. And without that, man, they're fighting a battle uphill, and it's not easy to do. So
no. Especially in a really impoverished state like West Virginia, either. There's not a lot of money there. There's a lot of politics, a lot of a lot of vicious politics there, and you got one side looking to cut programs that can help people, and you got and it's unfortunate that you get that happens.
We lost Patrick. I'll try to hold the fort here until he comes back. He may have to shut the stream down. So if it just cuts off, goodbye everyone. But yeah, Jackson, it's a shame that they didn't tell you. I mean, it's just such a waste. There's so many. The division will help sponsor college. It does job training, placements. They help with all kinds of expenses, and it's a great program. And bye, Key. I didn't know if I said goodbye to you, but enjoy the cat feeding time.
Yes, cat feeding time. Speaking of cat feeding time, I'm gonna get out of here.
Better get yours.
I'm gonna get mine and fix this damn phone. I gotta get it fixed. I don't know what's going on. Weird as hell.
My face has that effect on everything.
Yeah, that's right. We probably shouldn't have mentioned this. It's orange coming back to haunt me. Yeah, make him take me back. Now is your daughter still Oldham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's down in Florida now, so she's quite far away. Cool.
But again, thank you guys all for coming out tonight. Tomorrow night at 8:00, we will be hosting our good friend Casey, Internet Kaiju. He'll be here at 8:00. Hopefully, I'll be here too with a working camera. That would also be very helpful. And then Saturday at 6 p.m., we'll be having Crystal Lowell coming back to us. And she'll be here along with her co-star and producer. And we'll be talking about the film Afterglow. Chris Cortese will be here with us. And Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And it'll be her second time on the show. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good show. And then next week, real quick before my camera goes nutty again. So next Tuesday, we have Gabby Archambault will be here with us next Tuesday at 8 p.m. On the 9th, we have Fairy Dust, who's in the room right here. Fairy Dust, Brene, she'll be here with us on Tuesday the 9th. On Wednesday the 10th, we have Ashley Reeves will be with us. On the 11th, we have Meowtress from Metal Vamp Magazines.
Meowtress.
Yes. And then on the 12th, we have Call Me V. V will be here with us on
Hi, V.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that. We're still talking ska band. Yes, I worked with MX, PX. Did those guys too, along with Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Safe Ferris. What other ska bands are out there that were? See, there's Mustard Plug. There's the Specials. With the one I don't think it was. Who was it? It was the Specials, and then there's one with Old Dirty Bastard in there. That was the singer's name. He was very popular. I'll remember that and come back with that. All right, let me get out of here. Thanks once again, Dave, for coming out and hanging out with us.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Stay right where real quick. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody else. I will see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock with Casey from Internet Kaiju. Thanks so much.
Night all.